right, it is my favorite time of year. We're heading in November right now, into the end of the year. Everybody's doing it. Game of the year conversations. So we gotta jump in there too. So what I want to come away with today, let's see if we can figure out our Gaming News Weekly nominations, 5 nominations for Game of the Year, and then what you think should be the winner, what I think should be the winner, and then we'll see how we do come awards season. So let's start with my personal front runner, Baldur's Gate 3. That's, to me, it's up near the top.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it's it's just done. It's just done so. It's so different from anything that's out there right now, and it does it so well.
Yeah, it just came out of left field. Nobody really expected this. I mean, it's been out there in some form for a while, but not complete, and it didn't get the kind of attention that it now has as a full release. And man, like, this is the one game out of all of the games we're probably going to talk about today that I actually picked up, and it lived up to the hype.
Yeah, and there's penises.
That's always a plus.
Right. I mean, you got to give it a couple extra points for full frontal nudity.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's another one that you think should be on our list here?
I know what everybody's going to say, and that's Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom.
That's the other one. I think those are the two. Those are the two going head-to-head for that top spot, in my opinion. Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom, before, and I said it when it came out, just based on everything I read about it, when that game came out, I was like, that's it, lock it in, Game of the Year. Because there was so much praise and just how well it did it. Now granted, this is, I think it maybe does lose a few points for being, not for being a sequel, but for being just kind of more of that. I don't want to say just because it's a sequel, it can't win Game of the Year. But I do think it doesn't have that originality as some of the other nominees,
Yeah, I think it also loses a couple points on being only on the Switch and no other options for anybody to play it. I know Baldur's Gate 3, on the other hand, is not on Xbox yet. They're patiently waiting over there. Yeah. But it'll come out eventually, and I think a lot of people have picked it up on PS5 and PC.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so my runner-up, personally, my personal favorite, Spiderman 2. It's just checking all the boxes, doing everything it should do, and without a doubt, the best looking game that I've played this year. It's the story, the gameplay, just everything. There's no little thing in this game that wasn't it doesn't impress me. I had high expectations for it, and it has met or exceeded those expectations. So it's right up there.
Yeah, does it score pretty highly on Metacritic and everything?
Yeah, that one I think was a 90 on Metacritic. So definitely part of the conversation. What do you got? You got any other ones? What do you think?
If I had to give one, I would throw Cyberpunk 2077 back into the ring now that it's got the Phantom Liberty expansion.
Dude,
I guess it probably doesn't count.
No, you can't include that in there. Stop trying to make everybody play Cyberpunk. So all day, it's just
fine,
Cyberpunk. That I agree. It's definitely, if it could be in the running now as opposed to when it came out, I feel like it would win it.
Okay, well, let's go with Dave the Diver, an indie classic.
Ooh, I like that. I like that pick. I think that one we will see on. I think that one will probably win Indie Game of the Year. I think it won. It won the Golden Joystick Awards or something. I like that. Dave the Diver, fantastic game. That one I have to go back to. That one, Baldur's Gate. Through that one, I was playing Dave the Diver pretty religiously, and then Baldur's Gate really made me stop playing that. One that I'm shocked that we haven't even brought up yet, Starfield. I mean, how do you have a conversation without talking about Starfield? Like, now I haven't played Starfield. I'm nervous to play it. There's a lot happening, but it's a big game. So, what do you think? What do you think about Starfield? Do you think it deserves to be up in there?
Yeah, I haven't played it either, so I can't really give an honest assessment of it. From what I hear, people who are playing it and continue to play it past the first like 5 hours, they can get really into it. And there's a lot of cool shit that I really want to check out in there, like shipbuilding, being able to customize certain things. I like that. I'm sure it's really good, but I feel like when you play yet another Bethesda game, it does feel like more of the same just because they never really change up some of those key mechanics.
Right.
So yeah, I'm on the fence right there with you about even starting the game. And I've just been kicking the can down the road because I know it's always there on Game Pass.
Right, exactly. And I do think that's a good point that you make about the Bethesda kind of feel of it. It just has that feel, What about Super Mario Wonder? Now, we talked about that last week, and that one, again, it's at 92 on Metacritic, dude. One of the highest scoring games this year. Do you think that could find a place in the nominations?
I'm sure it could. I don't know about Game of the Year, though. It's got the same problem as Tears of the Kingdom, where it's just Switch exclusive, and on top of that, it's not really groundbreaking. It's not really... I mean, if you look at Baldur's Gate 3 and Tears of the Kingdom, the two things those games have going for them is that you can play that game any way you want. You can break the game, and the game still continues. I mean, just building these contraptions in Zelda, in stacking crates and jumping to the end scene in Baldur's Gate 3. You're not penalized for these things. The creativity is allowed to flow.
Mm-hmm.
Super Mario Wonder, it's a change up on the level system, but that's about it. That's the only thing that is really doing new versus old Mario games.
True. But at its core, it's a Mario game, and which they're amazing, Like, how do you talk about it without saying, like, it's a Mario game that's considered to be one of the best since Mario Odyssey even. So pretty crazy. Another one that I thought initially was going to make more waves towards the end, Armored Core 6. When that came out, there was a lot of buzz. People were, really excited about that game, but it fell off real fast. You don't hear a lot of talk about that one. Do you think that one could make its way onto the list?
For Game of the Year, I don't think so. I mean, maybe some like sound design and stuff that I hear is great in that game, but it's kind of like Diablo 4 and some other games where it's a little niche.
That was my
even
next
though a
question.
lot of people bought it. It's niche.
Yeah. Diablo 4 was the same thing, man. Diablo 4, when it first came out, people were going crazy about it. It was, the best thing ever. And then it kind of, like, they did some nerfs, some buffs, and people got a little upset. And we talked about the monetization behind it and all this stuff. So it kind of, like, people started going the other way on it, feeling, because initially I feel like that would have made it onto the list, but now I don't even know.
Yeah. It's weird to say Diablo 4 doesn't deserve to be up there, but then Baldur's Gate 3 is one of our top runners, just because they are a little similar in some ways, but you would expect Baldur's Gate 3, I don't know, they kind of broke through being niche.
Yeah.
Being like a real change up in gameplay style that not everybody's into. They still made a very, very popular game.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yeah, full frontal nudity. I mean, we'll go back to that, Baldur's Gate 3. Okay, some other ones from earlier this year. RE4 Remake, Resident Evil 4 Remake was considered, like, to be, when we're talking remakes, including Dead Space Remake. Dead Space and RE4 Remake. Do you think just because they're remakes, they don't deserve that spot?
I'd rather see a different category for remakes. How about Remake of the Year,
Sure. I mean, we could absolutely, that's a great idea. We could absolutely do that. We'll remember that for the Gaming News Weekly best of Remake of the Year. Yeah, I definitely could see, like, Resident Evil 4 Remake and Dead Space Remake definitely fitting into that best horror game of the year, or like you said, best remake of the year. But yeah, I don't know. Like, again, they both scored very, very well. Got a lot of buzz and were beloved by a lot of people. So another one that came out much earlier this year that we've seemed to have forgotten about, Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
That one, it had a lot. I mean, I think it's still the highest selling game for the PlayStation 5 this year. Do you think that, like, it's the lack of, like, the recency bias or how old it is? Do you think that maybe, knocks it off the list? Or do you think it's, again, this is another one I haven't played. I'm just, going what I heard about.
I mean, man, it was controversial from the start because of J.K. Rowling's, controversial takes there.
That could
so
hurt
I feel
it too.
like, a lot of people who would have played that game and enjoyed it just had to kind of boycott it. So I don't know. I think it's definitely going to miss out because of that. If it weren't for those tweets or whatever it all came back to, I think it would be probably among the running for the game of the year.
Another one from earlier this year that, could sneak its way onto the list because of how much buzz it had, Hi-Fi Rush. Remember this game? It's dropped for Xbox, came from, who was it from? Bethesda? Dropped on a Game Pass. It was like that, the music-based adventure game. I don't see any recognition in your eyes.
Kind of, like it sounds right.
That was another one. Is like, and not an indie darling, but it was like, it's not a known IP, and it just really kind of came out of nowhere. Again, that was much earlier this year. I could see you've forgotten it. Doesn't make the list. I crossed it off. What else do I have on my list? Street Fighter 6. Again, another one that was very loved. I don't know, because it's a fighting game, if it has done enough to deserve to be considered game of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I saw more hype for it before it came out than I did after it came out.
That's true. That's another one that I do think it. This is a problem with this year specifically, more than any year that I can remember, is that there were so many games that came out. Like, I don't ever remember having this feeling of like, holy shit, another like amazing game that I need to play came out like the same day or a week later, and I'm just like constantly forgetting about the last one. Well, another like Final Fantasy 16. Dude, I was in love with that game. I completely forgot about it, and I had to delete it because I needed more room on my PlayStation. It's so like, I mean, that one again was another one that was considered to possibly be a game of the year candidate, and it still could be. I don't know. It's a beautiful game, great story, great music. It's got it all. But this is a crazy year. And then another one, Sea of Stars. Small game, probably will win best. I don't know. I was going to say it would probably win best role playing game, but Baldur's Gate 3 is out there.
Yeah.
So
maybe one of the best of the indies. Definitely up there with Cocoon and one of the other ones we already mentioned, Dave the Diver.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So okay. So I think our game of the year nominees right now. Baldur's Gate 3, we're in agreement, is going to be a nominee. Tears of the Kingdom, we're in agreement. Spider-Man 2, what do you think? You think that's going to be up there?
Oh man, it's so new. It's hard to say because if there's a lot of press over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to hate having counted it out. For right now, I'm going to count it out.
Okay. Starfield.
I just don't think it's living up to a Bethesda game and what it should be.
But do you think it is going to get a nomination?
Knowing the gaming industry, yeah.
Okay. And then, so, based on any of the other ones, so let's see. So we've got 3 to 4 right now. Let's pick one more. So if we don't have Spider-Man 2, what's one more out of the list that you think is good enough that deserves a nomination? Armored Core 6.
What are all the options we have left?
Okay, I'll go through them all. Super Mario Wonder, Alan Wake 2, Sea of Stars, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Hogwarts Legacy, Final Fantasy 16, Diablo 4, Dead Space Remake, Street Fighter 6. Those are pretty much all the biggest games that came out.
out of that list, I have to say Hogwarts Legacy probably has the best chance of being included. That's unless they get snubbed, and that's a real possibility just because of the game itself.
It is, dude. This is a crazy year, man. Like, I don't know. It could go, like, and again, like, I was going to say Diablo 4. Like, how do you not have Diablo 4 on that list, too? So, yeah, it's tough. What do you think wins?
My hope would be Baldur's Gate 3.
That's my pick, too. Baldur's Gate 3, I think it's not only is it one of the best games I've played this year, it's probably one of my favorite games that I've ever played. The amount of choice in that game, the amount of like, just everything about it is amazing. All right, so there you have it. Our Gaming News Weekly Game of the Year predictions. Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win it all. Yeah, as we get closer to the end of the year, I don't know what other big games are set to come out. You know, there's not a ton of huge ones between now and the end of the year, but I'm sure we'll keep talking about it.
Yeah,
and
the only thing I have in mind is Call of Duty will drop pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they're usually thrown in those categories like best sound design and stuff like that, but there's not a high chance that it's going to be a game of the year.
No, especially when this one is really just, I mean, just an add-on to the last one. I don't know. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, and then, you know, maybe somewhere down the line, we'll do our own Gaming News Weekly.